Extreme ownership with Jim and Larry.
Gun spikes, midlife crisis with small business vices.
Extreme ownership.
Extreme
ownership. We weren't really supposed to do it with Jim and Larry. All right, here we are. We are live. Larry, take it away. Let's get us started.
We are Extreme Ownership. So welcome to podcast number 1A. And
it's 1.2.
1.2. Yeah, 1.2. We've done a few of these that if you search hard you might find. But this is 1A as in always.
1.2.
Yeah.
Jen, did you call it 1.2?
Okay, what is extreme? So both, I mean, I know for me and definitely believe for Jim, we both live our lives to the extreme.
Right,
so,
almost to the point of being offensive to others.
Sometimes, yes. Yeah, for sure. But that's what extreme is. So let me just give you like my 2 cents. But my extreme is my normal, meaning it's not extreme to me. So like I live authentically and in alignment with who I am. Other people look at it and may or may not think, but many have said that, wow, that seems really extreme, but it just feels normal to me. Jim, how would you define your extreme?
Well, Larry's had a couple of women come into his life and they met me and then they left his life.
They have. And that's just recent.
That's just recent.
Yeah.
But so for me, extreme is being who you are, regardless of who approves or disapproves. So I get a lot of people that get frustrated and they're like, "Are you always like that?" And I say, "Well, I'm always me. How else would I be?" And that may be extreme for some, but it's me.
Yeah. So like, what does it look like in reality and practical terms? So I've always liked to take everything to the extreme because I've always loved and enjoyed testing myself. So some people like have commented like, why do you like to live life on the edge? But for me, it's not the edge. It's living life in the middle. It's just for others, it's on the edge. So some of the things that I've done are like, metal bending, walking on glass, fire walking, and some other areas of my life. Well, can I just be real clear?
Yeah.
I mean, I put myself in really, I would say serious or scary positions, with some of the people that I've known and some of the drugs that I've used and all that stuff. But so people saw that as really extreme and doing things like to the nth degree. But again, for me, it just was like a test of how I navigate through life. And what that has led is to the person I am today, which is a person who's very confident, who's very self-intuitive, who's very aligned, and someone, most importantly, that can trust their inner guidance and can trust their intuition.
Yeah, but time out. A lot of people hear what you said, and they're going to take that. And they do this with me, and they're like, you mean self-absorbed. You mean... There's a lot of things that people take from what you say, and they twist it around. So for me, extreme, and I'm going to add this, I'm going to let you take it home from here, but it's having the guts, or whatever other word you want to add in there, to do the things that others are unwilling to do or are afraid to do. And because you're willing to do it, and you do it without fear, or more importantly, in the face of fear, with no regard to that fear, people take that a certain way, and they call it extreme, but it really is just living life to the fullest potential that you can make it.
Yeah, so I agree with that. The only thing that I would disagree is I don't do anything because others won't do them. So I'm not out here to prove anything to anyone else. The extreme...
That's not what I meant.
Okay.
I meant like they're not willing to test themselves the way you are.
Right.
So it's all personal.
Yeah, and I just feel like that it's not even testing myself. It's just part of who I am. Like, for me, not to explore everything and not to try different things would be not true to me. So other people may view what I've tried as extreme, but to me, it's just is. So that's extreme. So how does that relate to business? Jim and I were co-founders of NexCore. We've been in business together for 10 years and different businesses. And I think one of the reasons that we're great business partners is because we take extreme ownership of the business. So Jim, how would you define what does extreme ownership of a business mean? We talked about extreme ownership in our personal lives. What about extreme ownership in business?
Yeah, for me, it really is about whatever it takes for as long as it takes until you get the desired result. So NexCore's had ups and downs, and honestly, more downs than ups. And it's
we're
tough.
waiting on the ups. We know they're coming.
Wasn't very good to say on the podcast. No, but there are more downs than there are ups. But the downs build the foundation that you stand on to reach for the ups. And I think for me, the extreme ownership in business is being able to absorb those blows. And let's be real, they are blows. They're body blows, they're knockout blows, they're whatever you want to call them. You get hit hard when you're in business. And what's going on economically in the world right now for small business owners is hitting all of us hard. But the extreme ownership comes when you make a decision that there is no option. You will succeed, you will press forward, you will keep going in the face of the extremes. And that's what makes you an extreme owner of your reality and your business.
For sure. And we have had a lot of ups, but I want to tell you that if you haven't had a lot of downs as a business owner, you're probably not trying enough, or you haven't been in business long enough.
Or you're playing it safe.
So, for me, here's just an example of extreme ownership. Several years ago, I was in a sales position, and I was with one company, and I didn't make any sales for 7 months, and it was commission-based. But I stuck with it, and what I learned was by sticking with it and then making a lot of sales and building a big, large sales team underneath me, I was more capable of coaching and mentoring my sales staff, because if I had started off and just made 10, 20 sales right away, 100 sales, I would have thought, what's wrong with you? But the fact that I didn't make any sales for 7 months, I was able to relate and build a massive nationwide organization, which is still paying me today. So that's what I mean by the failure and the downs. Like, you learn with it. And what Jim said is great, the stick-to-itiveness. One of my mentors told me once that imagine two people on a treadmill, and you're on your treadmill and you look over to the other person and you say that you will either get off first or I will die trying. And that's what's called not a desire, not a burning desire, not a red hot desire, but a white hot desire to succeed. And I think extreme ownership is about that white hot desire.
Yeah, because you sucked at that company, and it wasn't really. You did, but
I did.
I was there with the journey.
Right.
I didn't see the 7 months.
Yeah.
But I saw the next 7 years and what came from that, and it's a residual income that's still paying you. So that's phenomenal.
So that is really what extreme business ownership means to us. I want to take a moment and just give a shout out to our sponsors. If we can just celebrate them. They're real important to us. We have some great sponsors that are part of the NexCore community. Can we? Yeah,
so if we're not ready, because Jim was just caught completely off guard, because that's not in the script anywhere. But I want to give a shout out.
She did tell me that was in the script.
I want to give a shout out to the voice of St. Louis, Mr. Vic Porcelli, who's one of our sponsors. Right there. He's right there on the bottom right. Hold on.
Hot, cold, hotter, hot, warm. Yes, ding, 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 ding.
Look.
We've got a winner. It's Vic.
Hey, Vic.
The voice of St. Louis.
Right there.
And
am I squeezing Vic?
Let's stop that.
Okay. All right. So Denali Building Supply, Buck, right?
First. Back. Good. Nope. You're on. There you go. Keep going. You got it.
Good enough. Buck and Clorinda, the team over at Denali Building Supply. In case you didn't know, Denali delivers just about everything. Oh, and for free, just so you know. We got Twins Red Carpet, and we got Revitalize St. Louis. So are we ready to kick over to one of them?
Let's play the promo.
Let's play their promo.
All right.
We all know that there is no city quite like St. Louis. Revitalize was founded to be the champion it deserves. Our mission is to promote and strengthen revitalization efforts for the city of St. Louis through public education, civic engagement, and community events. By working together, we can make St. Louis a place where innovation and history walk hand in hand. To learn more, sign up for the revitalized mailing list on our website, or become a member and receive exclusive access to Revitalize's online community and special spring into action today and become an integral member in revitalizing St. Louis.
Yes.
Okay,
right.
cool. Thanks to our sponsors, which are right here. Thanks to Twins, Revitalize, Denali Building Supply, of course, NexCore, and the voice of St. Louis, Mr. Vic Porcelli. Where are we going now, Larry?
Spotlight. What about a business spotlight?
Yeah, so years ago when we started NexCore, one of the things, and I'm sorry I'm losing my voice. I'll share my extreme moment of why I'm losing my voice in a minute, but we wanted to highlight small businesses. We had a segment called the Small Business Spotlight. Then we did a segment called Real Conversations, and we want to bring that back. It's the story of the business owner, what they're going through, what they've gone through, and what it means to them. We were meeting with the NexCore Productions team, the newly formed NexCore Productions team, by the way, to talk about what that could look like and where we are going to go. And we all agreed that at the very heart and mission of NexCore is small businesses. So I'm going to ask each of you to reach out to us if you want to be a part of the Small Business Spotlight. We'll do one per week during the podcast. Yes. And maybe we should talk about what the podcast format is going to be. How often are we going to do the podcast? What channels can it be seen? All of that stuff. I think we're going into that at some point. But let's take a minute and do that right now. So we're going to do a weekly podcast, 7 o'clock on Monday nights live. What's the problem? It's not in the agenda.
Go ahead.
Do it.
Anyway.
Weekly podcast, 7 o'clock Monday nights.
7 o'clock on Monday. That will be the Facebook Live. You'll see the behind the scenes. I believe as we were getting ready for this, Larry combed his hairs, all three. And then we went... Oh,
who is this man to talk?
I'm sorry. I couldn't do that. All right. So this will be the behind the scenes. We'll go live about 15, 20 minutes before. You'll see the screw-ups, the mess-ups, what goes into it. It's a little fun. We will strip the audio from that. The podcast will be launched on Wednesdays, the audio-only version of this. And then hopefully by Friday, we'll have a really polished video version that will go out on YouTube amongst other channels. But if you want to be a part of the Business Spotlight, reach out to us at NexCore. 314-635-0500, or comment below, and someone from the team will be in touch.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're talking about is, how each of us have lived our life and how being on the edge has really helped us be in the middle, and how also what it takes to build a business and be successful in business, and how the growth of yourself as an individual and the growth of your mind personally fuels the growth of your business. So we are going to, make some challenges to each other. Jim and I are going to set some goals for ourselves, keep each other accountable as we move forward to be the best that we can be, and we want you to be the best that you can be, and we want to support you in that. So if you want to connect with us or ask a question or help us hold you accountable to some challenge, how can they reach us, Jim?
Well, they can call us. You can email extremeownership@thenexcore.com, just like it's spelled, or you can call the NexCore hotline. Which, Jem, what's your phone number? Just kidding. 314-635-0500. I'm kidding, because everybody has.
And then isn't there a Facebook page or group?
35-0500.
0500.
And what about if you want to just ask a question on Facebook? How do they reach us?
Yeah, so
on
you
Facebook?
can go to NexCore, which is the NexCore on Facebook. You can go to Extreme Ownership, and you can go to the Facebook group, The Extreme Ownership Podcast.
The Extreme Ownership Podcast is our Facebook group. So I want to take a little bit about a lot of people are trying to reinvent their lives, especially during this crazy last 6 months we've had, trying to get a new NEW life or want something different for them. So I briefly just want to share a couple experiences that I had that might help you. And Jim, feel free to intersect, because Jim was a huge part of my re-emergence, shall we say, or my reinvention of myself. And a lot of you are looking to reinvent. So this segment we're going to do every week. It is called My New Life, but it is not spelled N-E-W. It is spelled K-N-E-W. So for those of you that know that you should be living a better life, but you aren't yet living that life, you have to know it before it can become it. So years ago, I was broke, I was homeless, I was living out of my car. I didn't really know where I was going. I didn't know what I was going to do, from where I was going to sleep that night, or how I was going to get food in my stomach, let alone to how I was going to reinvent myself professionally, personally, and financially. But here is what I knew, K-N-E-W. I knew that the experience that I was going through at that time was going to be great. And meaning, how could it be great that you're broke and homeless? And I knew, K-N-E-W, that it was going to be great because I had a choice. I could either buy into the fact that this was going to be awful and every day become more miserable by it, or just find some faith or some trust and know that it was going to be really good. So I'm not psychic. I really didn't know which was going to happen, but here's what I want to share with you. Lesson number 1. At every moment in life, we always have a choice. We can think about how something is, or we can think about how something might be. And every time, you just want to pick the better feeling thought. So really, lesson number 1 is pick the best feeling thought from wherever you are. So I'm broke and I'm homeless and I'm living in my car and things are pretty miserable. So I could not honestly say that I was happy or things were great. But it was fall and I was in Wisconsin and I did see some amazing colors on the leaves and some beautiful foliage out there. And so what I did was I started to shift my focus towards the beautiful fall colors, which made me feel a little better. So I just set the intent to know that my life was going to be better. Didn't know how. One of my favorite proverbs is a Chinese proverb that says, the person who says it cannot be done should never interrupt the person doing it.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't chart a course. I didn't say by 5 months I'll be here. I just set the intent that it'll be there. And every moment, I just tried to think the best that I could think at that time. Not the best I've ever thought, just the best I could think now. The best I could think now. And what happened, fast forward, was that when you begin to think a certain way and you buy into that thought process, something happens that's called momentum. And less I had to think more positively, and more positivity just came into my life because I trained myself to think that way. So all I'm going to say right now, and we're going to discuss this every segment, and Jim, feel free to pitch in after I give this last nugget, so to speak. But what happened was I now look back on that, and I think that was probably one of the best times in my life, because it gave me such confidence to trust in myself, knowing that in any situation or any condition that I'm in, I can choose the thought that makes me feel better. And when I feel better, I then change the condition that I'm in. So that's what real extreme ownership means to me, or at least that's another aspect of it, is I don't need conditions to feel better. I can think about the condition and change the condition through my thought process. So may not understand that. If it resonates with you, again, feel free to reach out to us at one of those contact places that Jim mentioned, or shoot us an email. Jim, you have anything to share on what? Because you have a bit of a new life going on, and it's NEW new, but there's a element that's KNEW.
Yeah, but let me just take a step back, because there's a lot of people. You guys need to have a talk real quick. Okay, so our production crew's yakking in the background, distracting me.
Trying to make it better, Jim. Just
make it better.
Going.
All right. So here's what I want to say, and I want to be really, really, really honest with you. When things are going on and you're struggling with them, there's an old saying, the struggle is real. It's kind of a joke. It's a play on words. But, the struggle is real. And I know a lot of people who have let that struggle take them to really dark places where you can start thinking there's easier ways out, or there's ways to minimize or dull your pain. Some people turn to drugs. Some people consider suicide. But what I will tell you is Larry's method is not perfect, but Larry's method is significantly better than the alternative, right? If you can take and focus on what is good in your life in the midst of something terrible and tragic, then you can begin to see a light. I mean, literally, you're presenting yourself with the light. I am going through some new life things. Kind of the joke in the opening of the podcast is, midlife crisis. And I don't know that I'm going through a midlife crisis. Every other person I've ever met would define it as that. But I do know I'm significantly more self-aware of the things that I want, the things that I don't want. I'm recently going through a divorce. It was not something that I wanted. But it's something that was presented to me, and you just got to find the best part of that. You got to find what makes it important or valid or real for you. And for me, being able to focus on the new things in my life, what was important to me, the things that I knew for sure were there, my sons, my friend, my business, the people in my life that I knew cared about me. It's really easy to focus on positive things as long as you know that you can identify those, shift your focus, and go from there. But a mentor of mine, Brian Carruthers, did a test about congruency. And what I want to share with you, and I'll just let you as an audience do this, and I'm sorry my voice is going quickly. Some of you are so grateful right now. But if these are your intentions, right, I want you to focus on those really, really hard. And assume that these are your actions. And I want you to focus on them really, really, really hard. Now I want you to focus on both of them. And you can't. It's not until you bring your actions to your intentions that you can focus on both of them equally. So if you want this and you're willing to do this, you'll never get what you want. You have to make a decision. You have to take action. And you have to bring those actions together. Justin McPherson, a guy I know, once said, make sure the tongue in your mouth matches the one in your boots. And it took me about 5 years to figure out what he meant. But what it means is if you're going to say something, if you're going to want to try and do something, you better be willing to put forth the effort. So it's one thing to know and to have a new life, KNEW, but it's another thing to take the actions that are necessary to ensure a good life. And it's not enough to know. G.I. Joe says, knowing, now you know, and knowing's half the battle, but it's only half the battle. Exactly. If you want to win the whole battle, you got to know and you got to be willing to take action. Larry?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that know what they want. We help entrepreneurs, we help business people in St. Louis, and I can't tell you how many people come to us with great ideas or they really want their own business, but they're not willing to put in what I call the extreme part, the extreme ownership of their business to take it to the next level. And that does apply to entrepreneurship, but it also applies to anyone who wants to, get more emotionally stronger. The amount of personal development. I put in minimum about an hour a day of personal development, 6 days a week. People that want an improved lifestyle, finances, they want a better body. It's not about wanting it, just as Jim said, it's about taking the action to it. And Tony Robbins, another mentor of both Jim's and myself, says there's nothing more powerful than inspired action. And if you take just the action part, but you aren't inspired by it, in my opinion, when you hit the bumps in the road, the action will become too hard and you'll quit. That's why so many people quit diets. They quit a business, they quit something, because they're all action-based and the action becomes so overwhelming that they don't have the fortitude to continue to bust through it. That's why you have to have the inspiration. And I choose and select the word inspiration over motivation, because motivation comes from the outside. You read something, you see something, you're motivated for a while about it. But if you're not inspired from the internal part, if you're not inspired by it, it won't have long-lasting effects. So you want to get that inspired action, like Jim says. And this leads us to, Jim, as he mentioned, he's got 2 sons here in St. Louis. He's a dad. He's an active dad. I have grandkids that I'm actively involved.
How many did you have over the last? Hold on.
I had 8 kids with me for 2 days. It was really fun.
He took his shoes off just to make sure.
Yeah, so we both, family's both so important to us, and we have kids, so a lot of people have I hear a lot of people say, well, I've got kids, as if it's the problem of why they can't do something, and in reality it should be the inspiration or the reason that you do something. So how would you define for you the intersect of kids and business, or kids and the extreme level of your life? How do you balance that, Jim?
Well, I think there's a difference between our type of business, right? When you're an entrepreneur, my kids have always known that I'm not going to be at everything, right? I'm not going to be at all of the school events. I'm not going to be at some of the games, although I try and make as many of those as I can. But when you're an entrepreneur, there is no timesheet, right? You don't clock in and out. You work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. One of the complaints that people around me always get, or the questions they always get, is he always like this? And the answer is yes. I'm always like this. I'm always on. And when I try and explain to people what I do and how often I do it, they're like, you work all the time. And I'm like, you may define it as that, but it's just who I am. So as part of that, to answer your question and kind of circle back around, my sons know that when you meet someone, you shake their hand, you look them in the eye, you say, nice to meet you. My sons aren't told that dad owns a business. They say, we own a business. NexCore is their business. They've been told that for years and years. So I think when you're trying to intersect, when you're trying to intersect kids and business, you have to understand that if you don't make them a part of the process, they will resent the process and the lifestyle that you've taken. So part of your new life has to be knowing how to incorporate children into situations that most kids aren't going to get incorporated into. If you're a business owner, your kid should be a part of your business. They should understand why you're doing it. And in these times, guess what? The kids don't have the bailout. They don't go to school 8 to 4 or 8 to 3 or 9 to whatever. So they're with you. Take that time and introduce them to what you're doing and why you're doing it. They might understand better. They might participate more. They might take more buy-in and ownership to what you're doing. But the most important thing is, I ask my son Andrew almost every day, I said, why do I do what I do? And he says, so you can make a better life for us. And it is, but if you don't make sure they know, they just see that you're not at the dance recital and you're not at the concert and you're not at the game. They don't understand why. But in that vein, and then I'll turn it back to you, you have to take a moment to smell the roses or taste the coffee or look around and enjoy the sunset. Dip your water or your whole body in, dip your foot or your whole body into the pool. Otherwise, it's just there and you're not really living. So part of the new life, NEW, has to include the KNEW. I knew when I had to take a minute and stop the business and start the life, spend the time with the kids. But
yeah, and I want to say, there's so many other fringe benefits that come from having this extreme ownership view of your business. So, like, I'll just give you a brief example. So, a lot of times Jim's son Andrew will be with me. So like Jim has to go into work early, so I get Andrew, and then I have my grandkids. So the long story short is my grandkids and your son Andrew have become the best of friends over the last few months. And they, share in each other's lives, they enrich with each other's lives, and like both of them view Andrew as Andrew views my grandkids as family. Like they're part of the same team. So it's like you blend and you become better and bigger because of it. So kids
and the kids. So Andrew, during the Small Business Independence Day, shout out to STL Style in my shirt.
Yeah.
NexCore put on a 3-day event, and during that event we had a kids entrepreneur series. It was really, really cool. But a lot of the kids were inspired to start a business from other kids that had already started a business. So Andrew started a lemonade stand. Check them out and review them on Google. Andrew's Lemonade, A-I-D, not A-D-E. But check it out. He's available for parties and get-togethers and corporate events. But he wanted to... Hired. He wanted to start a business. And I think a lot of it was... And this is going to be controversial, what I'm about to say, but... A lot of it was because I think he wanted more time with me, more time to understand what I'm doing. But he got into a conversation about college the other day, and somebody said something about college. He goes, I'm going to start a business. I don't need to go to college. I go, whoa. Time out. And he goes, what? College isn't for everybody. You should only go to college. And he's 9, by the way, rattles off all this stuff. Now we've got him convinced he should probably go to college. But in the reality, they will take what they hear from you and what they see from you and the actions that you take, the inspired actions that you take, and they will become passionate. And as your children get older, I know I have a 16-year-old, I have a 22-year-old and a 23-year-old too. What? Did you not know?
I have no idea.
Extreme ownership. Okay.
Do you have a 40-year-old?
But no, I have a 61-year-old as well. But
Fast life.
I started way but you will struggle.
I have a 43-year-old.
Yes. You do? Anyway, no, but you will struggle to find things to relate to. Yeah. So I think as your extreme kids, I like it. As you try and find things to relate to with your children, it's going to be more difficult if you're an entrepreneur and you have that crazy schedule, unless they understand why you do what you do. So I encourage you to help them form a business. There wasn't an entrepreneurship class when I was a kid. There wasn't something that was Start Your Business 101, or I would have taken it. But I've always been an entrepreneur, and I didn't relate in that facet with my dad because he wasn't an entrepreneur. Very smart, very hard worker, but not an entrepreneur. So when I chose the entrepreneur lifestyle, it was this source of, oh, maybe you should get a job. You've made $32 in the last 3 months. I can't afford to give you rent money anymore. But that's what it was. You struggle, you ebb, you flow, you go from there. And I think it's cool when you can incorporate your kids into your business in the intersection of what it is, because you'll always have something that you can relate to, even as they change, grow, evolve. Puberty hits. I struggled with that when Larry went through puberty. It was really tough for me to continue to relate to him. Why are you laughing?
It didn't exist.
No, Larry just started. He had a full head of hair.
Right.
The chest hairs you knew.
It's not midlife crisis. It's just super late puberty.
Right. Right. His
Now we
voice
know.
recently changed.
And Jim's is changing now.
Changing.
So yeah,
I feel like we should break for our sponsors.
Yes,
so
let's
Jim
break
can
for
do a
our
shot
sponsors.
Of honey.
Honey, break for our sponsors. They're right. Here, Jen, are you late?
I am late.
Better
There we
late than
go.
pregnant.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Twin. This is my company, Twins Red Carpet Auto Detailing. Can't wait to book you for an appointment.
We all know there is no city quite like St. Louis. Revitalize was founded to be the champion it deserves. Our mission is to promote and strengthen revitalization efforts for the city of St. Louis through public education, civic engagement, and community events. By working together, we can make St. Louis a place where innovation and history walk hand in hand. To learn more, sign up for the Revitalize mailing list on our website or become a member and receive exclusive access to Revitalize online community special events. Spring into action today and become an integral member in revitalizing St. Louis.
Extreme ownership with Jim and Larry.
Guns, bikes, midlife crisis.
Extreme ownership.
Just go to the.
All right.
And we're back.
Okay.
I've gargled honey, I've renewed my voice, and I'm here to help. Larry?
We are back. One of the things that we want to discuss, or that we both believe in, is how much we love our city and how much we love our community. So, Jim, you want to share a little bit about what you love about being a St. Louisan? And
So I just
know
want to
you've
say
left
it's
a few
my
times. You've come back.
Right, I've left and come back. St. Louis is one of those cities that calls you, and the only way it doesn't is if you're not listening.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, this is St. Louis.
Yes. Can I help you?
Straight to voicemail.
Anyway, straight to voicemail. You've reached a number that's been disconnected or is no longer in service. All right. Anyhow, so it is my mission to bring people to St. Louis and expose how incredible this city is. What I'll share is St. Louis has meant something really incredible to me. It's where I've started businesses. It's where I've lost businesses. But this city just makes me feel alive. And I think the way especially during this pandemic, the way the whole city embraced the small business community, it made me feel very grateful to be here. The honey didn't work enough. I'm back to the Jen's voice. But yeah, St. Louis is an amazing city. Forget the Rams. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I love this city. I grew up in Chicago, but when I was like 7 or 8, I started leaving notes to my mom. I'm running away to St. Louis. I don't know why, but St. Louis was always in my heart, always was. You know, as soon as I graduated high school, I came down to St. Louis to go to college. I did leave a few times, but always came back. I love St. Louis. It's my passion. We'll talk more about that in future podcasts. But we want to get to a segment that's called the Quote of the Week.
Ooh.
So I chose this quote because a lot of people are living a certain reality right now or a certain lifestyle right now that's vastly different from where they were 6 or 7 months ago. Some are adjusting, others are adjusting more difficultly. It's definitely a challenge. There's no way around that. So,
are you ready for the quote?
I'm ready. The quote is, "Your reality is old news."
That was very animated.
And someone might say, that can't be, because my reality is my reality because it's current. And I would respond to that as, your reality is old news, meaning everything that you thought, believed, acted upon, took action on, related with, has led you up to where you are now. Meaning, where you are now is the sum composite of your previous thoughts, actions, and beliefs. So, you are living the past. It's manifesting in your reality, but you're living in the past. So, here's what I did as I was getting a KNEW new life. I looked at my life and I picked the things that I really liked, and I looked at what I was doing and I said, I'm going to beat the drum of those things more, meaning like I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing that. And then I looked at the things that I didn't necessarily like my financial situation and my housing situation and other things. And I started to begin to think differently on that. I began to feel differently on that. I began to act differently on that. And what happened is those thoughts, actions, and beliefs eventually led to my current reality, which is one of, I feel very comfortable with who I am. I'm comfortable financially. I'm comfortable with all those things because I didn't give my attention to where I was. Most people give too much attention to where you are. As a matter of fact, I would say the number one reason why people don't get more in life than they deserve is they're too busy observing where they are. And when you observe where you are, you produce more of where you are-ness. Yeah, so if you don't like where you are, give more attention to where you want to be and less attention to where you are. Lastly, it's like driving a car.
No, go ahead.
Have you ever gone to the dealership and say, I don't really need a windshield because I just want a cutout in the floor, glass cut on the floor, because I really want to pay attention to where I am?
Interesting.
That would make no sense. So when you're driving...
What about a glass bottom boat?
When you're driving, you give a little attention to where you are, but you give the majority attention to where you're going. And that would be my suggestion in life. That's the quote, your reality is old news.
Yeah, but let's take it a step further. I want you to think about something. Anything, right now, whatever just popped into your mind, truly is old news. Because it's already happened. Yeah. By the time you process it, there's not a single thing that you can do to change what you just thought. It already happened. So your reality truly is old news because there's nothing you can do to change it. Even if you think it's current, it's not. So I'm going to take your quote a step further and say focus more over on where you want to go and the steps of how to get there than what you're currently in. Because whatever it is great. You're homeless, your house just burned down, your car was stolen, you end up in a gun battle. None of that matters because it's already over. So focus on what you have, how grateful you are for the moments that you've got, and take immediate, persistent, incredible and unwavering action to get where you're going, because that's truly the only way you'll get there. Think about where you are, and that's where you're bound to stay.
Yeah, so that leads us into the final segment, which is a topic of the week, and we found this topic particularly, I think you'll find it interesting, clearly related to us, and we're going to talk about it. This was the headline of the St. Louis Business Journal.
Right.
And it talked about how more people are starting businesses during the pandemic. And that might seem counterintuitive to what's going on. You might think the pandemic is a time to retreat and a time not to take chances and a time not to step out. Again, it all relates to how you think things will be. So let's talk about this topic. Why do you think more people are starting businesses now, or why is now a good time to start a business?
Well, I mean, there's a myriad of factors. For me, you probably have more free time. You probably have less to do in the course of a day, and you probably have more accessibility to think. And the big thing, Napoleon Hill wrote a book, and he didn't call it Be Rich. He called it Think and Grow Rich. So now that you have the time to think through and take immediate action, I think now's a great time. And moreover, the traditional way that people have done business, received business, bought goods, received goods, thought about doing anything is completely different, right? Who would have... Here's an odd one for you. You walk into a bank, you're required to wear a mask. Who'd have thought that 6 months ago? Right? If you walk into a bank wearing sunglasses and a mask, the guard pulls his gun. Now, if you don't walk in wearing a mask, they ask you to leave. They won't even let you in. So the new norm, we don't even know how it's going to be defined. But what I will tell you is whatever you think is the way that you've done it, that'll probably work. But those that are going to make fortunes during this time are going to think of a new way to do the same thing a different way with better results.
Yeah, so here's a couple thoughts on why this is a good time. When you have an experience that you don't like most of us don't wish this was going on, anytime you have a contrasting belief to what you want to happen, at the same time you have that negativity, you have an equal desire of a new birthing of something. In other words, for example, like when I was broke, I knew I wanted wealth more than anything else. When you're cold, you know you want to be warm. When you're hungry, you know you want food. So anytime you have that negativity, at that same time you have that negativity, you also have an incredible amount of clarity of where you do want to be. It's just whether you have the ability to take your focus off of your reality and give it to the clarity that's been birthed. So right now is a great time to take a stab at ownership, at starting a business. It's a really good time because things aren't good and you know more what you want, so you can take a stab. That's one reason. And this was highlighted in the Business Journal article. Another reason is when I went broke in 2006 and 2007 with that recession back there, banks were cutting back. There was no money available. This time it's different. There's actually a lot of opportunity for money out there. There are more stimulus packages. Unemployment is higher. Like there's a lot of things that are available now and could become even more accessible going on. So there is opportunity. And then as Jim said, that you probably have more free time now than you did before. So again, it's not how anything is that defines us.
Correct.
It's how you believe it is or how you respond to the what isness of your life. So that's the topic that we wanted to talk. This is what we do at NexCore. We help businesses, we help entrepreneurs, we are a business accelerator, a business think tank, call it what you want, but what it is, it's we're dedicated to like mining and monetizing the passion that's within people. Check out that Business Journal article and understand that like the opportunity could be perfect for you right now.
Can we put that link in the Facebook Live that we just did? Can we put that link for the Business Journal article in there?
Are you breaking the fourth wall and asking me a question?
Oh, I didn't know there was a fourth wall.
Send me the link. You can put the link.
Okay, we will.
This is the plexiglass.
Okay, gotcha. Well, can we?
We will put that link up there.
Yeah, we'll put the link up. But let's take a minute and just talk about this, because it's one thing to I can't remember I remember the quote. There's 3 birds on the telephone line. They decide to fly south for the winter. One says they're going to stay. 2 say they're going to go. How many birds are left? Anybody? You would think there's only 1 bird left. But the reality is there's 3 birds there. Because just because you say you're going to do something, even if you make a decision to do something, it doesn't mean you take the action to take the steps necessary to actually take flight. So let's talk about some businesses that really did that. And these are future guests on the podcast. I've already got them lined up. But Denali Building Supply.
Yes.
In the midst of all this, they decided to create a company that kept people out of the hardware store, able to do their home repair projects, find an easier way to get products to them at a better price. So they're redefining the way people shop at the hardware stores. Just shameless plug. Andrew's Lemonade is redefining the way people get lemonade at the corner of Graveway and Jefferson on a Saturday.
Yeah, we recently, July 9th, 10th, and 11th, featured St. Louis Small Business Independence Day, and you can Google that and still watch that. But we interviewed several businesses that have developed new streams of income during this time. Premier Balloons comes to mind, but also another
Butterfly Lash Teak.
Butterfly Lash Teak. Like
we looked great. We got our eyelashes
we did.
done. A butterfly kiss lady.
I had like such long eyelashes that I could hardly open my eyes. But
You got the shortest ones.
You got the shortest
and
one.
I got the shortest one. So
I,
shout
as
out
true to
all
form,
the
had the
ladies
longest
out there
ones.
that. Oh, that's right. You got the longest ones. Yeah.
Of course I did.
I had the shortest ones. But the point
They were
is,
thick though.
the point is that there are businesses developing new streams of income. There are new businesses opening. There's also businesses that are closing.
Yeah, over 150,000 in the U.S.
Lots
today.
of businesses that are closing. The point is that at any time, let alone a crisis, there's good that comes from it and there's bad that comes from it. And you get to decide how you want to view your life. And if anyone out there could tell me that they feel they will be a better person, better parent, better friend, better, business person, anything, by feeling bad about what is, then please contact us and let me know so I can start feeling bad. The point, so you don't need to wait until it begins to get better. What you do is you need to shift your focus to something positive in your life. I'm going to close with this final thought. Someone once told me, imagine there's 10 things going on in your life. 9 of them are horrible and 1 is good. That with the ability to focus, if you could just spend a little bit more time on the 1 that is good and a little less time on the 9 that aren't good, you'd be that much more happier.
Right. Can I add to that? I know you were closing out with that, but here's the other thing that I will tell you. There's so many of these businesses that decided to go for it right now, and I believe that we have an obligation to support them. We, as NexCore, absolutely take that very seriously. But what I will also tell you is there's companies that have been in business, like Twins, one of our sponsors. They've been in business doing things a certain way, and during this time where everyone else is contracting and retreating, businesses like Twins are adding new services, home automation, things like that, to make your experience at home even better. And this is not a Twins plug, but what I will say is there are businesses like that that are taking the time to do this. If you have a business idea, if you have something that you are so confident could be something, but you don't know what steps to take, where to go, where to turn, how to get the help that you need.
You're willing to take extreme ownership of that.
Yeah. Call us. 314-635-0500. Part of this podcast, too, is going to be to highlight and support those businesses that are launching right now, those businesses that are growing and building, evolving and changing and adapting during a time where others are retreating. So I encourage you to stick with us this week. If things go right and we line it up, we're going skydiving.
Yes.
So it's going to be a little crazy. I'm going to jump out of a plane. Many people would like a shot at my parachute before I go. But I will tell you, the professional will make sure that I land safely. And if anyone wants to go skydiving with us, I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, sure.
We invite you to come along. Call us, 314-635-0500. Comment below. Jen?
It's down there.
It's down there. All right, comment below your name and say, I want to skydive. but you must put I am extreme after that. And we will see you. We will see you next week on the podcast. We'll share stories and likely videos because we have one of the best videographers of all time, Jen Carter. Wave. No one can see her.
Hey guys.
She's here.
What's
She's
up?
amazing. She's extreme.
Otherwise known as the production crew.
The production crew.
I'm the whole crew.
She's a
All
whole
right,
crew.
be safe, be well, and be loved.
No.
But be extreme.
Be extreme!
Extreme
Ownership!
with Jim and Larry.
Where were you?
I'm Larry.
Extreme ownership with Jim and Larry.
Guns, bikes, midlife crisis.
Extreme